So once upon a time in Black entrepreneur history, there lived an African-American man named Edward Elder Cooper. He became founder and publisher of the Colored American newspaper as well as the Freeman newspaper. Both papers were extremely popular during this time. Let's get into it. So Edward Elder Cooper was born in the South in the year 1859. At some point, his family relocated to the state of Indiana. It's there where he was the only African-American student in his class of 65, and he was also valedictorian of that class. In the year 1882, Edward started working at the U.S. Railway Mail Service. It was here that he was the first African-American person to be put in charge of an all-white staff. The very next year, while he was still working at the mail service, he published his first newspaper. It was titled The Colored World. Unfortunately, this newspaper didn't succeed. Not because it wasn't good, it was because there were changes on his railway run. It was 3 years later that he left the U.S. Railway Mail Service to go and work for another newspaper, the Indianapolis World. His unique skill in journalism brought that newspaper great days. So he left, and he started his own paper once again. And this paper was focused primarily on African Americans. For African Americans. His Black-owned newspaper was called The Freeman, and it was this newspaper that put Edward Cooper on the map. And how was that? He was the first African American to utilize illustrations in the style that he did for Black news in cartoons and in portraits. So he was progressive in Black publishing. Even the youth loved his newspapers. He even employed the first Black political cartoonist, and his name was Henry J. Lewis. The next paper he started was the Colored American. It was a political paper. This paper ran until 1904. It was known as the leading colored journal in the United States at that time. Now, although Edward Cooper was into politics, he had no desire to run for office. Instead, he is quoted as saying, "I'd rather be kingmaker than king." Edward Elder Cooper died in 1908, and though he died fairly young, he left a lasting impact on the world of politics and publishing.